Carvey, we've got to talk about the other implications around this World Cup.
FIFA held crisis talks this weekend after Israel and the United States attacked Iran, who replied with military actions across the Gulf and elsewhere. We're sure you've seen all the footage on that. But Iran's men's team have, of course, qualified.
This is the slogan FIFA picked for the 2026 World Cup. Football unites the world. 6 weeks before the biggest tournament in history kicks off, here's what's actually happening. The President of the United States, one of 3 host countries, just told the Iranian national team they should stay home, quote, for their own life and safety. The ACLU and 120 civil rights groups have issued a formal travel advisory warning fans they could be detained, deported, or even killed in ICE custody if they show up. ICE itself has confirmed it'll be a, quote, key part of stadium security. Tickets that were promised at $21 are now selling for nearly $11,000. And fans from over 75 countries, including teams that qualified for this World Cup, can't even get a visa. This isn't a unity tournament. This is a takeover. And tonight, we're going to walk you through exactly how Donald Trump and FIFA broke the World Cup before a single ball was kicked. To understand the disaster, you have to understand the dream they sold you. When the United States, Canada, and Mexico won the joint bid back in 2018, FIFA and organizers pitched it as the largest, most inclusive sporting event in human history. 3 countries, 16 cities, 48 teams, up from 32. 104 matches over 39 days, from June 11th to July 19th. The first World Cup ever held across 3 nations. The United States got the lion's share, 11 host cities and 78 matches. That's 3/4 of the entire tournament. Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Seattle. Canada got Toronto and Vancouver. Mexico got Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Monterrey. The opening match, June 11th in Mexico City at the iconic Estadio Azteca, though it's been renamed Banorte Stadium for the tournament because FIFA's corporate sponsor rules don't allow the original name. The final, July 19th at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, also renamed to New York, New Jersey Stadium. Even the stadiums had to lose their identities for FIFA's branding. But here's what they really sold you. FIFA promised the tournament would generate $47.7 billion in economic output for the United States alone. That's billion with a B. They promised affordable tickets, as low as $21 according to Football Supporters Europe. They promised the safest and most welcoming World Cup ever held. They called it, in their own words, a catalyst for positive social change and unity. That was the promise. Now let's talk about the receipts. The first crack appeared in the place fans always feel it first, the wallet. When the US-Canada-Mexico bid was put together back in 2018, the maximum ticket price for the final was capped at $1,550. Football Supporters Europe says the cheapest tickets were promised at just $21. That was the deal in writing. Cut to December 2025. FIFA's first sale window opens. Tickets to the final? $8,680. Group stage matches? $140 for the cheapest seat. And fans went absolutely ballistic. So FIFA panicked. They quickly added a Category 4 tier. Limited $60 tickets for some matches, sprinkled around to make it look like ordinary fans had a shot. They didn't. Most of those tickets vanished in seconds. And the prices for everything else? They went up. As of April 2026, the most expensive ticket for the final is now selling at $10,990 on FIFA's official platform. But here's where it gets dirty. For the first time in World Cup history, FIFA introduced what they call dynamic pricing, the same algorithm Ticketmaster uses for Taylor Swift concerts. Prices fluctuate in real time based on demand. So if you logged in 5 minutes too late, you got hit with a surge. There was no way to budget, no way to plan. And then they did something they'd never done before. FIFA legalized scalping. They opened their own resale marketplace and allowed tickets to be flipped at any price the seller wants. The catch? FIFA takes a 15% fee from both the seller and the buyer. They're collecting on every single resale. The same organization that used to crack down on touts is now profiting from them. Critics called it what it was: institutionalized scalping. Want it worse? Let's go to New Jersey. The state of New Jersey is going to charge fans approximately $150, $150 for the 15-minute train ride from Penn Station in Manhattan to MetLife Stadium where the final is being played. A trip that normally costs a few bucks. They're price gouging fans on a public train, and the so-called fan demographic is shifting because of it. CNN spoke to a long-time English fan named Holmes who attended World Cups in Brazil and Russia when tickets cost between $70 and $100. He decided not to come to America at all. He's going to Mexico instead. Sports historian Dave Goldblatt told CNN this is going to be, quote, a World Cup for the 1%. His words. But pricing is just the appetizer, because FIFA's greed is one thing. What the United States government just did to international fans, that's a whole other level. On January 14th, 2026, just 5 months before the World Cup, the US State Department dropped a bomb. In a post on X, the agency announced it was indefinitely pausing immigrant visa processing for citizens of 75 countries. The official justification, in their own words, was that those countries' nationals take welfare from the American people at unacceptable rates. Look at that list. Now look at the countries that qualified for this World Cup. Iran, Haiti, Egypt, Algeria, Cape Verde, Côte d'Ivoire, known to most as Ivory Coast, Senegal, Ghana, Morocco, Jordan, Uzbekistan. These are nations that earned their spots on the pitch over years of qualifying matches. Their fans, their families, their journalists, locked out before the tournament even starts. Now, fact check. Officially, this freeze applies to immigrant visas, not tourist visas. Tourist visas are technically separate, so fans coming for matches should still be able to apply, right? Wrong. The same day the freeze was announced, a separate State Department cable went out to every US embassy in the world telling consular officers to start screening non-immigrant visa applicants, including tourists, for public charge risk. That means an American consular officer can now refuse a fan a tourist visa based on their health, age, language ability, or perceived income level. The freeze isn't technically blocking tourists, but the chilling effect is enormous, and it gets worse. Layered on top of the visa pause is Trump's June 2025 travel ban, which is still fully in effect. That ban totally restricts citizens from 19 countries from entering the United States, and partially restricts 20 more. The qualifying World Cup nations hit by this ban include Iran, Haiti, Côte d'Ivoire, and Senegal. For the few fans who can technically still apply, say those from Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, Cape Verde, and Algeria, the State Department is now demanding they post bonds of up to $15,000 just to enter the country. $15,000 to watch your national team play. In a tournament whose slogan is "Football Unites the World." So FIFA, panicking about the optics, announced something called the FIFA Pass. This program is supposed to give official ticket holders priority consular interviews, basically jumping the visa line. Sounds great, right? Read the fine print. The FIFA Pass does not relax the actual security and vetting checks. It just lets you sit in a slightly shorter waiting room while a consular officer decides if you're a public charge risk and rejects you anyway. The Council on Foreign Relations, not exactly a hot take publication, flat out told their readers in April this won't be smooth. Their own Africa expert Ebenezer Obadar said, quote, "I don't think this is going to be as smooth as previous World Cups. So if you're a fan from Iran, Haiti, Senegal, Ghana, or 70+ other countries, you can't get in. If you're somehow lucky enough to get in, FIFA wants you to scalp tickets through their 15% fee marketplace. And if you're already in the United States and you're not a citizen, you might want to think very carefully about going to a stadium at all." In February of this year, that's just 2 months ago, ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons sat in front of a House of Representatives committee. A congressman asked him directly, will Immigration and Customs Enforcement pause operations during the World Cup? Lyons refused to commit. Instead, he said, quote, "ICE, specifically Homeland Security Investigations, is a key part of the overall security apparatus for the World Cup." Read that quote one more time. ICE, the agency famous for terrifying immigrant communities, will be a key part of the security apparatus at international soccer matches. Matches that will be attended by millions of immigrants, dual citizens, and visiting fans who simply look foreign. Since Trump took office for his second term in January 2025, ICE has detained over 750,000 people. As of this January, more than 72,000 were sitting in detention centers. That's a 75% increase from before Trump's presidency, and the agency just received $85 million in fresh funding, including $45 million specifically earmarked to expand detention capacity over the next 4 years. There are now more than 220 migrant detention sites operating across the United States, and those raids have already turned deadly. In February 2026, ICE agents shot and killed 2 American citizens during a raid in Minneapolis. Their names were Renee Nicole Good and Alex Pretty, both US citizens. The fallout was so bad that the head of the Department of Homeland Security at the time, Kristi Noem, was fired in March. And then on April 23rd of this year, the dam broke. The American Civil Liberties Union, Amnesty International USA, the NAACP, and over 120 civil society groups did something almost unprecedented. They issued a formal travel advisory warning fans, players, journalists and visitors to the World Cup that they could face, and I quote directly from their statement, quote, "Arbitrary denial of entry, violent and unconstitutional immigration enforcement, including racial profiling, and cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment, and even death, while in ICE detention or custody." Daniel Noronha, the America's Advocacy Director at Amnesty International USA, didn't pull any punches. He said, quote, "Fans, journalists and others traveling to the United States for the 2026 FIFA World Cup risk encountering a deeply troubling human rights landscape shaped by the Trump administration's racist immigration policies, mass detention and deportation, and attacks on freedom of expression and peaceful protest." The advisory specifically called out one group, trans and non-binary visitors. The coalition warns they could be denied entry into the US if traveling with passports or visas that don't use their sex assigned at birth. The White House response? Andrew Giuliani, son of Rudy Giuliani, runs Trump's official World Cup task force. He called the advisory's claims absurd and insisted the US is fully prepared to set a new standard for international sporting events. A new standard. They're not wrong about that, but not the way they meant. On February 28th, 2026, just over 3 months before the World Cup was scheduled to kick off, the United States and Israel launched a coordinated military strike on Iran. The Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed. By the time the dust settled, more than 1,045 people had been killed in Iran, 10 in Israel, and 3 US soldiers were dead. The conflict had spread to 12 countries. Iran, the team that was the first country to qualify for this 2026 World Cup, was suddenly at war with one of the host nations. When Politico asked Donald Trump if he thought Iran would even participate in the World Cup, his answer was, quote, "I really don't care. I think Iran is a very badly defeated country. They're running on fumes." But the real bombshell came on Truth Social. In a public post, the President of the United States, host of the World Cup, wrote this, and I'm reading it word for word. "The Iran national soccer team is welcome to the World Cup, but I really don't believe it is appropriate that they be there for their own life and safety. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. For their own life and safety." Just sit with that for a second. The president of the host country publicly suggesting that a team that legitimately qualified for the World Cup should not show up because he can't guarantee they'll survive. Iran's response was just as blunt. The Iranian national team posted a statement on social media that absolutely lit Trump up. The World Cup is a historic and international event, and its governing body is FIFA, not any individual or country. Certainly, no one can exclude Iran's national team from the World Cup. The only country that could be excluded is one that merely carries the title of host, yet lacks the ability to provide security for the teams participating in this global event. In other words, Mr. President, maybe you're the one who should sit this out. But Trump's team wasn't done. According to the Financial Times, a Trump envoy named Paolo Zampoli, who has no official role at FIFA or in Italian football, privately suggested to both Trump and to FIFA's Gianni Infantino that Italy should replace Iran at the World Cup. Italy didn't even qualify. They lost a playoff to Bosnia and Herzegovina in March. But because Trump's envoy is Italian-American, and apparently to score points with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, the United States tried to back-channel Iran out of a tournament they earned a spot in. FIFA, to their credit on this one, said no. Iran also asked FIFA to move their 3 group stage matches from the United States to Mexico. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum publicly said Mexico was open to hosting them. Quote, "Mexico maintains diplomatic relations with every country in the world." FIFA rejected that too. Iran will play SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California against New Zealand on June 16th, against Belgium at the same venue on the 21st, and against Egypt at Lumen Field in Seattle on the 26th. All in the country whose president just told them they should fear for their lives. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio made it official last week. He said Iranian players will be allowed to compete, but anyone with, quote, ties to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps will be barred from entering. The Iranian team will be playing matches in a country that just bombed their nation, killed their leader, told them to stay home for their own safety, tried to replace them with a non-qualified team, and is now setting political conditions on which support staff they can bring. This isn't a World Cup. This is a hostage situation in cleats. So you might be asking, where's FIFA in all this? Where's the world's governing body of football? The same FIFA that suspended Russia, that polices political symbols on captains' armbands, that lectures host countries about human rights. They're silent, and they're silent for a very specific reason. They have a business arrangement with the Trump administration. In October of 2025, FIFA President Gianni Infantino put on a red MAGA-style hat at a public event and pledged FIFA money to Trump's controversial Gaza redevelopment plan. 2 months later, in December, Infantino handed Donald Trump the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize, an award FIFA literally invented in November 2025. The ceremony took place at the Kennedy Center in Washington on the day of the World Cup final draw. The man whose administration is at war with Iran, who's running mass detention operations against immigrants, and who told the Iranian team to stay home for their lives, was given a Peace Prize by the same organization running the World Cup. The Britannica article, of all sources, just dryly notes that the decision raised eyebrows. Infantino went even further. After Trump's inauguration, he said, and I'm quoting, that FIFA and Trump together would, quote, make not only America great again, but also the entire world. He's not even pretending to be neutral. And the practical fallout? Catastrophic. International tourism to the United States dropped 5.4% in 2025. Canadian tourism is down between 22 and 28%. Hotel rates are getting slashed. Average advertised room rates in Dallas during the World Cup peaked at $387 a night 6 months ago. Now they're at $250. FIFA itself has cancelled thousands of room bookings for media, sponsors, and athletes in Philadelphia, Atlanta, Toronto, Vancouver, and Mexico City. International fans are voting with their wallets. They're not coming, and they're not silent about it. A Dutch petition urging the Netherlands national team to withdraw has over 174,000 signatures. A Boycott FIFA World Cup 2026 in USA Facebook group has more than 25,000 members. Even former FIFA president Sepp Blatter has endorsed a fan-led boycott. The fans who do come, they're choosing Canada and Mexico instead. The retiree CNN spoke to from Northern England, the lifelong soccer fan. He's flying to Mexico City to watch Mexico open the tournament. He told CNN he refuses to step foot in the United States while this is going on. The World Cup is happening in 3 countries, but a huge chunk of its actual fans, they're skipping the host country. So let's go back to the slogan, football unites the world. 6 weeks before the tournament starts, here's where we actually are. Fans from over 75 countries can't get a tourist visa. ICE has confirmed it'll be a key part of stadium security. The ACLU and 120 civil rights groups have warned international visitors they could be detained, deported, or killed. The president of the host country has publicly told a participating team to stay home for their lives. FIFA has handed that same president a Peace Prize. Tickets that were promised at $21 are selling for nearly $11,000. New Jersey is charging fans $150 for a 15-minute train ride. Hotels are slashing rates because nobody's coming. Tourism is collapsing. Boycotts are spreading. And the fans who can afford to come are increasingly choosing Canada and Mexico, countries the United States has spent the last year publicly insulting and threatening with tariffs. Sports historian Dave Goldblatt called this a World Cup for the 1%. But honestly, that's generous. This isn't a World Cup. This is a corporate showcase marketed as a unity event, hosted by a country whose government is at war with 3 of the participating nations and run by a federation that just sold its political soul for a bigger paycheck. The slogan was supposed to read, "Football unites the world." In 2026, It looks more like a punchline. If you want to know what FIFA has to say about all of this, the answer is nothing. They've stayed silent for 15 months. We'll keep watching and we'll keep covering it. If this video pissed you off, hit subscribe and stay tuned. We're tracking every single host city as the tournament unfolds. The next video on our channel breaks down what the World Cup looks like for fans on the ground in Mexico and Canada and why so many are choosing them instead. Click it on screen now.